Welcome to Nature Sketch Crate's King Penguin Go Out and Sketch instructional video. In this video, I'll be showing you how to sketch a penguin. First, make sure you have all the materials you need before you go out to sketch. Head out to a zoo or aquarium, or just sketch from a live HD video of a penguin at home. I chose to sketch the Magellanic penguin at my local aquarium, the Aquarium of the Pacific. For demonstrative purposes, I am sketching at my studio while watching a composite video of the Magellanic penguin. So first, you'll want to use very light pencil marks to get the basic shape of the penguin on the page. Nice thing is that penguins don't tend to move too much. So just drawing in the body shape. It's about the size I'd like, I think. If you mess up, you can always erase it. That's why you're drawing in very light. And then maybe a tail. The head is a bit of an oval. A little bit of the breast in there. And then the beak. About there. So that gives me the basic penguin shape on my page so that I know about the approximate size. Now I can start adding in a little bit more of a defined shape with a slightly darker pencil mark. And adding in the shape of the body. And since I've already laid out the size, I can just focus on the shape. I'm not going to worry too much about the tail feathers. Just kind of adding the shape for now. Making some marks where the lines are from the black and the white. Border of that. Drawing in the wing, or flipper, or arm, whatever you like to call it. And then, let's see, maybe I think I'm going to finish drawing in this bottom area near the feet, the leg. And I like coming from the head is a little easier for me, so I'm going to come around and add in the shape here. Apologize for the shaky composite video. I'll have to figure out how to change that. And the sizing of things are still a little off, so I'll define all of that again. But this is the second sketch layer. And I'm just adding in a few things, and then I'll figure out where I got a little off. Maybe adding and taking away in different places. And just not worrying too much, just adding a lot of little sketchy lines. And I'm adding some more details now that I have most of the lines in. And well, the penguin is in a pretty good spot as far as not moving its head too much. Sometimes you have to take advantage of the animal not moving. If you make anything too big, go ahead and erase it. That beak looked a little too big to me. And you should be somewhat familiar with penguins from our step-by-step practice lesson, and be able to apply some of those things to this lesson here. So you got to know the penguin a little bit. Starting to add in a few of the details on the head. And this is a sketch, so it's not going to be exact, it's just going to be approximate. But you can erase if you find you don't like where things are at, or the sizing. Just keep your lines on the lighter side and you'll be able to erase them. It's a sketch, so it's okay to have some sketchy lines. And drawing in this colorful area on the penguin's face. It's a little hard while it's yawning, so I might move on to a different part. Starting to add a little bit more detail using a slightly harder pressure. By adding in maybe some of those feathers that are showing, getting the right size of the wing, adding the striping to the belly and the breast. There's a little stripe that goes underneath its wing. Make sure that double checking that I have the right wing size and changing that if needed. Looks like I need it a little bit more up there. Fixing the face a little bit. And when I'm looking at this again, I think the beak is just too big. I'm going to take that off and I'll resketch that. Do the tail in the meantime. It's okay to go back and redraw something, but it's also a sketch, so keep that in mind as well. Don't worry too much about the details, just enjoy your time sketching and observing. I'm going to get a lot of details on the feet, just kind of the basic shape. And it's good to sit back and just kind of look at it and see if you like the way it looks, it's the right shape. If you need to change a few things, I think I changed the beak a little bit. It's just a little bit too big. It is a pretty thick beak though. And I'll look at it a couple times. Keep changing my mind on this part here, based on where the ping has moved its head. I think that that's a little bit more accurate. just redefine a few more lines. And add in maybe some nails. And I'm basing that kind of on the image in my video and kind of on what I learned in my Hello, I'm a Penguin and when sketching the step-by-step. Because I can only see so many details. Maybe I'll see more in person if you're able to go in person and sketch. I could also add water down here if I wanted to, or some rocks to add a little bit of space of background. I think overall this penguin is just about right. And so actually this beak is a little bit off here. There we go. I'm gonna add the penguin's name on the bottom here. You can add whatever kind of observations or anything else you'd like to add to this. This is your sketch. I'll put the penguin's name, the scientific name. So this step is a lot like when you do your transfer of the image, doing something to base your painting on. In the end, I'm gonna add color next, and then the ink lines, just like in our step-by-step. Gonna add paint, and I've revived all of my paints with a little bit of water from my water brush. And I can add more if needed. I added a little bit more black paint, and I also added the quinacridone magenta, since this is a different penguin. And I think I'm going to start with a little bit of the quinacridone magenta. I'm gonna add a lot of water to it, because I want it to be very light. I'll test it out on either a test strip, which is my towel, but I will also make sure to dab it off on my towel before I apply it to my painting. Let's go ahead and add a little bit. If I have too much, I can always dab it off onto my towel to get a little bit more of the pigment off. Looks like it's mostly in here in the face. Also, the beak looks a little bit like it has that color in it. Most of the beak will be covered with black, so just going to fill it in there. Just being very loose. Looks like there's a little bit on the breast, and if you start too dark like that, that's fine. Just get the paint off of your brush and just add some water, and you can move around. It's going to be going under some gray and black. There's a little bit on the wing you can't probably see in the video, but it's a very, very light amount. And then some on the feet as well. Maybe a little on the cheek, just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. That to dry, I can still work in these other areas with a little bit of the darker color. And I think I'll just be adding a gray color, so I'll be adding a lot of water to my black and adding a coat of gray in the areas I don't have the pink right now because that's still wet and it will just blend together. I might want to be a little bit lighter when I get down into the body and being careful not to add it to those pink, wet pink areas. It's just a sketch, so if you get a little bit in there, it's okay. And just getting a very light coat of that. And most of the pink has dried. I tested it, and that first coat there, the grayish black color, is dried, so I can go ahead and add a little bit more here. Making sure to reserve some light spots for where the light's hitting the penguin. Some very light gray. Just pull that right over. Not worrying too much because this is a sketch. But being careful to keep it a little lighter in those areas where the light's hitting. And adding it in. And I'm doing a little bit of texture here because the light's hitting individual feathers, so it looks like, and I want to keep those a little light. It does not have to be exact, like I'm just adding what I think the texture is of those feathers. The direction, try to get in the right direction. Then, this is still a little wet, so when I add it, it's kind of moving around a little bit, dispersing. You can see that, just not getting exact at where all of this color is going, but just an approximate. And I'm just going to add layers until I get where I want. And if this is still wet, so you can see it spreads a little bit, which I kind of like. I think I want to add it a little bit more there too for the same effect. Maybe just a little bit, it's a little light there. And then down on the tail as well. This area right here is a lot darker than the other areas. Helps define that shape of that tail. All this will be brought together with the ink at the end as well. Do not want to forget the beak, so I'm going to add that in right now. The darker parts are kind of on the top and the bottom. And then here on the cheek as well. Behind the eye. And then like to add some to the feet. Most of it, the feet look like they're mottled pink and white. So I've just kind of put some dots and model it through. Nothing too exact, it's just a sketch. Maybe put some dark at the place where the nails are, because it looks like those are a little bit darker. A little bit, just kind of put some rough modeling, like little dabs. Also some spots just kind of coming up here under the wing, and a little bit of belly shading as well with some gray. And the best way to sketch an animal is just to add these things in as you see them, because they tend to move and things change. Add a little bit more to the back. And here on this ring area. I think I want to soften these edges a little bit here. Not quite as dark, so I took the paint off my brush and then added it again. See, I'm working on a very much darker color. And adding it just sparingly to the penguin where I see it in the image. And if I want to soften those edges, I can just take the paint off and then create a little bit of a gradient by adding just a clean wet brush to soften those edges a little. And you can definitely see the feathers texture here, so I'm going to use kind of a line strokes with my brush to create that texture. And then some color here, a little darker on the tail. A little bit on the edge of the wing here. And then back on the beak and the head again. A little bit on the top, and then down here at the bottom. If you don't want your hand to shake, just make sure you have it firmly pressed down on a surface. Sometimes it's going to happen anyway. This is a sketch, so it's okay. The main thing is that you're practicing and you're observing and you're relaxing a little bit. And hopefully that's what you're doing when you go out to sketch this creature. Just a little bit more shadow. And that's too dark, so I'm taking the paint off of my brush and then going back over it with just a little bit of wet brush. It's a sketch, not worrying too much. Adding a little bit of a shadow under the wing and under the chin as well. I see a little shadow there on the back of the head. And I think that's good for the paint colors. Maybe I'll add a little bit more of, I'll add a little bit more of the pink color to the face. So it might be a little bit darker. Just a little. And maybe a little bit in the feet. And I like that color. So now I will wait for this to dry and add some ink lines. So I'm going to add the ink lines. I'm going to start with the 005 black micron. Be just redrawing these lines and redefining what I drew before. I'm going to add a few more lines using a thicker micron, the 01 black micron. I'm going to add a few of the 08 micron lines. Since these paints are dry and the pens are waterproof, I can add a little bit more paint. It's gotten a little darker. There's been a shadow that's gone over the penguin, but I'd like to add a little bit more darkness to this, even though it's not maybe necessary, since before we were basing it when the penguin was out of the shadow. So I keep that in mind. I just add a tiny bit. I like the color of this. I'm going to add just a little bit thicker line to the common name. And then I think I'm going to be done. You can take this to whatever level you'd like to take it. You can keep adding more paint and more details. You can add other observations that you made while you were out looking at the penguin. This is your sketch, so you can do whatever you like to do with it. Great job observing your world. Keep practicing.